All right, we're about to go live on YouTube. And Beth is joining. All right, we're about to go live on YouTube. And Beth is joining. All right, hi everybody. I just it's 7. All right, we're about to go live on YouTube. Oops. Oh. Beth is joining. That's lovely. Okay. There. Anyway, fix that technology. Anyway, hi everybody. We're getting everyone's kind of joining as we are waiting on all of our panelists to arrive, and just excited to see all the parents, or at least listen to the parents and hear what they have to say. Hey, did that work? Okay, I'm going to send you another link. Stand by. Bye. All right, technical difficulties, but we will be with you shortly. It is just now 7:30, so we will be with you in a moment. Let's see here. Okay. Thank you for your patience, everybody, as we just wait for a few lovely technical details to be sorted out. Yes. There we go. There we go. And these lovely technical issues, parents, I'm sure you can relate to if you were on the open house the other night, that our kids are dealing with all of this stuff. So now we have 122 and climbing, and the way Zoom works is we're doing a webinar. And so it means we will be able to take all of your questions, and we're really excited to get to hear you in a few minutes. In the meantime, Principal Javelin, who is just the most amazing leader we could imagine having, is having a little bit of trouble logging on. And so I have to find her now in the midst of these 134 participants. So it's just going to take a moment. Thank you for your patience. And welcome if you're logging in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, there we go. I've got her. Okay, so anyway, welcome everybody. It is 7:30 and it's only Monday.
Make sure you unmute them.
Yeah, I think we are all officially unmuted as we.
I can't, my video is not working. It's not allowed me to go video.
That I believe is not on my end. Video is working according to the options here, but that doesn't necessarily help.
It says you can't start your video because the host has stopped it. But that's on your end.
Well.
Yep, my APs are saying their videos aren't working either.
That must be an option then. This is why I have my daughter at these meetings with us, so she can always help me with navigation. So let me just go into the options. I apologize, guests. Thank you for your patience. And let me just.
And the 2 APs are muted also, so I guess you have control over that as well.
Yeah, check and see if all those things just went away. So parents, thank you again for your patience. Welcome in the world of communication, which is what we're supposed to be helping with.
There we go.
It takes a village. There's some default settings I'm still working out with Zoom. So thank you. Sorry, Beth. Sorry, Principal Javelin. Sorry, everyone, but I think we're on track now. Everyone okay? It's 7:34. If we're all ready to jump in. Thank you for attending tonight. Not just the parents, but thank you to Principal Javelin and her team for starting us off with the most amazing week possible. I just want to say a couple of quick things about the HSA. Myself, I'm Kathy Riva Bloomgarden, and along with Alana Engel, we are the co-presidents. And the main job of the HSA, if you're a new parent to Weber, is we are the communication hub. Our goal is to help allow parents and the administration to be really and united in community. So on that note, I do want to just put it out there that, you know, I've learned through the years of my life in teaching mindfulness is that sometimes just being listened to is really a valuable tool. So if at any point, any of you on this call have a need to share a story or you have questions, Alana and I have an email down below in every communication we send you. Please feel free to reach out, especially to myself, Kathy Riva Bloomgarden. I'm really happy to hear your stories, and I'd be really excited to just listen to what you have to say. So that said, I can't wait to talk about and listen to what the questions are tonight. So with just a couple of HSA things, we are excited to say for 6th grade parents, we're going to have a fun mixer coming up. It won't be the same as it has been, but we're excited that that will be happening in October. And we are looking for people on the virtual reality committee to help, again, with the community, looking for really interesting ways to intersect in this virtual world that we're now being a part of. So that said, that's our HSA news. And I'd love to just toss it over to my co-president, Alana, who's got even more updates, and then we'll get to your questions.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to follow up with that, just to remind everyone to check your emails. I know there's a lot that comes through, but every Monday we'll send out the Weber Weekly, and there will be important reminders and links and information and email addresses and contact info. And please check your membership toolkit information. If you don't already have the app from previous years, you can download it. Double check your information, your contact information, your child's information. You can register for the HSA, make a donation to the HSA, fill out a volunteer form, buy apparel. And on the side of the app are links now to all kinds of information, phone numbers for the schools, virtual information, Q&As, all kinds of things. We have a brand new website, so there's a lot to keep you busy. And again, every Monday when the emails go out, the links to these things will be in there, so you can check that out. And I think now everybody's anxious to hear what our administration has to say. So I just wanted to introduce them for those of you who might not know them. We have two of our three assistant principals here. Jessica Zuckerman, who is the blue house and red 8. Eric Mace, who's yellow and red 6. Danny Sacconi is not here, but he is greenhouse and red 7. So their contact information is on our website if you ever need to get in touch with them. And then, of course, we have Beth Javelin, our principal, who can start us off with a little recap of our amazing first week at Weber, and then answer some questions that you might have.
Sure. So we have a bunch of questions that we're going to answer. But before we begin, I just want to thank everyone for really partnering with us this week. This is new for all of us. We're all challenged in different ways. A lot of our conversations during the school day has been, it's the first day all over again. You know, no matter how long have we been in this building, it's the first day. We're learning new things. So we definitely had some bumps in the road last week and some things that we need to work on and improve on. But like I said, it's new to all of us, and we're really working very hard to make this as normal as an experience as possible for your children. The amount of effort and work and dedication that has been put into this building over the summer and to opening the building has been unbelievable. From the custodians to the clerical, to our ITAs, which are our tech people, to our teachers, and especially to our administrators. I can't thank the building enough for getting it ready for the children to come in and really to start learning and being back to whatever normal we could do. So I want to start out with really more of a letter that some of the parents have received today from Schreiber and from Daly. So both schools do have a case of COVID. Schools are closed for cleaning. We were not told that we needed to close the buildings because of the COVID, but more from a standpoint of cleaning the building. And what's really important, and the reason I'm bringing this up to start the conversation with, is you as parents really need to get involved and start talking to your kids about wearing masks, about walking on Main Street and not walking in groups of people without masks, and talk to students about not being on top of each other. Our plan at Weber was made to keep our kids 6 feet apart, to keep our students and staff safe. And the reason we're in the hybrid is really to maintain that. And the more that we are a partnership with our parents and our students and us as teachers, really will be the way that we could hopefully keep ourselves safe. And that goes on the weekends, whatever parties you might be going to, or barbecues that you're at your house. Of that point, it's important that you are partners with us in order for us to try and help and hopefully not spread and not get COVID at Weber. So that being said, I'm just going to go through some questions that we have. Hopefully that will answer, and then we'll answer some questions that you might have in the chat. So it's come up a lot about can we have can we eat lunch outside and have lunch and recess outside? So one of the issues is our students are buying lunch and we need to deliver the lunch to the rooms. So we deliver the food to the rooms, and as soon as the children are done eating, they could go outside immediately and start having recess outside. We do have the kids are socially distanced outside. We have students on the track as well as on the front field. So we made sure that kids are separate, and we will continue to be looking at whether or not having lunch outside is an option. Right now, we are having a bee problem around the building, and we're trying hard to keep kids safe from bees as well as all of the other stuff outside. But it is something that is on our minds, and we are looking at if there are ways to bring children outside to eat lunch. But they are instructed as soon as they're done eating to go outside quickly. And I would say for the most part, they're outside within 15 minutes of the period. So they're actually having a longer recess time than they would normally have in school. The other question that's come up a lot is, can we switch the kids on the track and the front fields? As of right now, we're not looking to switch the different fields. If we feel that it's necessary, we will continue to evaluate our program to see if that is necessary. We have spaced out the kids so everyone has enough space and that they can walk around and they can do things at recess. So virtual learning, I'm going to let Jessica take over for some virtual learning stuff.
Hi, everybody. So there's been a lot of questions. If your child has an IT issue, they're having a difficult time logging in, their links aren't working, who should they contact? Their first point of contact should be their teacher. Reach out to their teacher. Their teacher should be able to help them and point them in the right direction. Their teacher then, if their teacher is unable to solve the problem, their teacher will then take the case and bring it to an IT person in the building for assistance. Another question that we get often is if we have our students in school and we want them to be virtual, or if our student is virtual and we want them to be in school, what should we do? So if that's something that you and your family are thinking about switching, contact your AP, have the conversation with your assistant principal. They can talk you through the different options, and maybe if it's something that can be resolved in the building to keep your child in the building, then we can talk you through that. But definitely contact your child's assistant principal. Another question, what happens if a child is homesick with a cold or something non-COVID related during an in-person day? So they are participating in our hybrid program, and they should theoretically be in school that day, but they can't come to school that day because they are sick. So if your child is supposed to be in school and they can't come to school that day because they're sick, then they are homesick. and we don't expect them to participate in what's happening in school that day. So you would do that day what you would normally do. You would have your child, or you would reach out to their teachers, let them know that they're sick for the day and what work did they miss. You would call the house office, let them know that they're sick and they're unable to participate for the day. There's been a lot of questions, understandably so, about the fully remote plan that we have. We know that it needs some work, and we are meeting regularly as a building subcommittee with various constituents from the community, from the Board of Ed, from teachers, and trying to create a plan that works as best as we can make it. Right now, we have tripods in every classroom, and they are facing the whiteboard because that is the screen where the material is going to be for the students. Best practice for our teachers is that they are walking around the classroom providing instruction. Teachers generally aren't just standing in one stationary place. So that is the model that we continue with our students. We are able to do that safely at Weber because all of the desks are 6 feet apart. Everyone is masked unless they're having a mask break. So the teachers are able to continue that practice, which really not only lets them get to know the children, but it lets them get to see the work that they're producing in front of them every day. And we think that that's something really important. We also know that the audio with the virtual instruction is not where it needs to be, and that it is very difficult for some of the students who are at home to hear what is being said. The mics are a part of the camera system, so if a teacher is not standing directly next to it, it is very difficult to hear. We are learning this as we go. So we are working on buying mics for the teachers to use with an amp, so that it not only would the students in class be able to better hear, but definitely the students that are at home would be better able to hear what the teacher is saying in the classroom as well.
Right. So since the classrooms are double space, like double classrooms, we were having sound issues in the classrooms as well. And we are doing something now to rectify that situation.
And I think next up is Mr. Mace.
Yes, he is. Mr. Mace is going to talk about Wednesdays.
He might not be if he can't unmute.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for attending. Can everybody hear me? I'm unmuted. Okay, good. Some technical difficulties in the beginning, just like everything else so far this year, right? So I know there's been a lot of questions about Wednesday, and I just want to highlight that we've only had one Wednesday so far, and it was our very second day of school. So there were definitely some growing pains. A couple of questions that have come up regarding Wednesday. I just want to highlight that all of our classes are mandatory. It's not just the core classes. That was certainly a misconception. All teachers, every single teacher is providing instruction on Wednesday. One of our biggest takeaways from the spring virtual learning was that live contact time between our students and our teachers, we need to increase that. There are these little moments every day in a middle school that helps students. And when you're on the computer, when you're in the computer fully, you're not always getting that. So part of this Wednesday plan allows for that. And it's going to look different depending on the teacher. Some teachers are going to use this as an opportunity for a small group pullout. Say these 15, these 20 students really need additional support. Some teachers are going to use this for full class instruction for their entire group of 100 students because they need that fifth lesson for the curriculum. Can you hear me? So this Wednesday was really designed with the flexibility.
You're coming in a little muzzled.
Let me try. I'll try and call and see if that audio works a little better. Is it any better? Uh-oh. Okay. Try a phone call here. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everybody. I'm going to try and call in and see if that works so I have audio there. It seems like I'm not coming across clear.
While Mr. Mace is calling in, I just wanted to go over the schedule. So we are, this whole plan is going to be looked at throughout the year, and additions and things that we need to fix will be implemented. So we are actually currently looking, we have a meeting coming up with the instructional committee to discuss some issues that we saw with Wednesday plan. Wednesday will still be a remote day for everybody, but we are possibly looking at just changing the time schedule a little bit. And as soon as we come up with a plan that works for the building, we will roll that out to the parents. So a lot of parents asked what the last period is, which was called student support. That is a time where students that receive OT, PT, speech, and any related services will be, it's an additional time where those students would not be missing pull-out time in core classes or encore classes, so they're not missing instructional time. So we built that into the day so students aren't missing instruction. Mr. Mace, were you able to call back in?
Can you hear me?
That's better.
Good, good. Happy to hear. All right. So, Ms. Javelin, thank you for filling in for the Wednesday. So I know I have a number of other questions here that I do want to address. We did have a question on the Wednesday schedule. There is a section that asks for what exactly is student support services. So those are students who receive support such as occupational therapy, speech services.
I just went over all that. Skip that question. I jumped into that question.
Sounds good. Sounds good. My apologies. So in that case, let me jump down. What was our next question on Wednesday? So I know parents had a concern, can we use Wednesday as an in-person day if we have a Monday holiday? So when we made this plan, we looked at our calendar and our school calendar, and we picked Wednesday for a reason. There's only going to be a 3-day difference, with vacation days. So we trust our teachers professionals. They will adapt a curriculum to make up for those 3 days, just like they would any other year for a holiday. So that shouldn't be an issue. You know, another question I have here is, why is the Wednesday schedule the way it is? Why not just A, B days? So we want to balance out our schedule. We realize that consistency is really key for our middle school student. If we had a rolling A, B day schedule consistently throughout the 5 days of the week, there's a real chance that students would not know what day they come in. They would come in the wrong day. And we want to avoid that because, again, middle school children need consistency. You know, it's really critical. You know, as parents, I'm sure you know that. I know my 3-year-old needs consistency. So again, I'm looking at the next questions here. We have some classroom questions I'm going to go over, such as are pods going to be rotated or are seats going to be rotated? So if you do have concerns about seats or where your child may be sitting, one of the things we're going to say is it's regarding to audio. We are looking into microphones, especially for some of our larger spaces. We're looking into that, and we're trying to find the best system for that. Hopefully we'll be able to get microphones, collar mics or lapel mics for our teachers. In terms of, will the pods be rotating into different rooms or changing their pod location? We're going to assess everything. You know, there's no stone we will not unturned, and it's definitely something we're going to look at. So there was a question specifically regarding mask breaks, and can they be in between periods or can they be longer? So what I'm going to say is if you have specific concerns about mask breaks, please reach out to your teacher. We certainly want our mask breaks to be supervised. We want to ensure that our students are maintaining that 6 feet of social distancing when they are having the mask break. So if there is a concern, certainly reach out to the teacher and let them know. Another question regarding the HEPA filter in the gym. So it's 2 questions really. One is about the sound, which again, we're looking into a microphone option and hopefully we'll have an answer soon. The other question is is there a HEPA filter in the gym? Absolutely. There's a HEPA filter in the gym. The gym broken up into quadrants is actually roughly the same size as one of our classrooms, the same floor plan. The only difference being the ceiling is obviously much higher. So the first day of school, we did absolutely have very large, very loud HEPA filters in there. We've actually replaced some of those with much smaller, quieter filters. So have no fear, there are certainly HEPA filters in there, and that should also help with the audio piece. Again, every time we discover that something can be improved, we are working tirelessly to improve it. You know, if there's a concern, please let us know and we will work to improve it. Going through my questions here, I see one regarding teachers using Google Meets versus Zoom. Can they use either or? And the answer to that's yes. Our teachers are professionals. We really want them using whatever they're the most comfortable with to deliver instruction, because at the end of the day, that is a better quality instruction for your child. And we're providing training on both, and we're going to trust the teachers to make the best decisions for their curriculum. Wi-Fi has come up quite a bit, and Wi-Fi being slow, the Chromebook's not loading. It is being assessed by Mr. Maloney, our district tech coordinator, and I do know that our tech department, our IT department, that is certainly working on it, and something they are trying to address. Again, like everything else, we do expect it to improve as time goes on.
Just some other things that I want to address. Sorry, just some other things that I want to address. Not all of our classrooms are air conditioned. They weren't before COVID, and they are not after COVID. So I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that not all of our classrooms are air conditioned. So whether you're in the gym now or weren't in the gym, you may not have an air conditioned classroom. We happen to have started school on probably the most humid week that we've had all summer. We checked the gym several times today. The gyms were not hot today at all. So once the weather calms down, the gyms are functioning at a temperature that is comfortable for the students. I also want to bring up another thing about parenting. So I brought up a little bit about the responsibility of talking to your child about when they should wear masks and how they should be wearing masks. The other piece is also about whether or not their phone should be near them during their remote learning. So I heard from some parents, well, my child has their phone there because they need some tech support. That's fine, and I understand that piece of it. However, their focus should be on what's going on in the classroom and not texting their friends and talking to their friends during the lesson. So we did send out some expectations that we felt was really important for students to learn during the remote learning. And it's really a parent's job to share that with your child and share your expectations with your child so they can have a successful year. Our plan is very different than any other middle school plan on Long Island. Purposefully, we have 5 days of live instruction because we know that's what the students need. We are not doing recorded lessons the way that most schools are doing during their hybrid model. And it's important that the students' full attention is there during the school time and when they're learning. Phones aren't allowed to be in the classrooms, therefore they should really not be allowed during the remote part of their lessons either. And again, we need the parents to partner with us in confirming that and making sure your children know what is expected of them when they're learning for Weber Middle School.
So there's a couple other questions I can address that may not necessarily deal with instruction or classroom environment, but they're certainly parent concerns. One of them being Aspen. I will say that Aspen was going through an update the last couple of days. Our understanding is that Aspen is updated and is working. So please, if you're still experiencing issues, please feel free to send either myself an email, or you may email weber@portnet.org, and we'll be able to correct that issue quickly. ID cards has been brought up. Student ID cards are actually being distributed starting Tuesday and Thursday. So by Thursday, by Friday, every single student should have their ID card. Lunch has been a big topic, and lunch order forms. So first of all, parents, thank you so much for your support with this. But just like in a regular school year, you're not going to the counter to order lunch for them. So we're going to ask the students to actually order their own lunch. We're finding that's really the easiest way to do it. Students need to sign into their Portnet Google account. And when they go on, they're able to sign on and order their own lunch. We're finding it's easier to do it the night before, but we are allowing time to do it during home base in the morning. So parents, if you have 2 children, it seems like, we've had a couple events of they're able to order one child's lunch, not the other child's lunch. And the reason for that is because you're signed in under the same student. Once you fill out the form, you can't fill it out again. So again, we're going to ask that the children, the students, please fill out the lunch form. Parents, please remind them and help us out with that. We really appreciate it. Always a big topic, especially for our 6th grade parents, textbooks. I know today one of my teams sent home their textbooks. Yes, the backpacks are heavy today when the textbooks go home, but the good news is those textbooks should stay home. We don't want them back until June. So please, if you feel that your child's backpack's too heavy, the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is look in that backpack. If you see a 10-pound social studies or math textbook, please take it out and please put it on a shelf somewhere safe, somewhere accessible, somewhere where, you know, we can get to it during remote learning day. It should not come back to the school. If you look in that backpack and you see there are no textbooks, it's just the binder, the folders, the notebook, the Chromebook, then by all means, please reach out to your teachers with your concerns. We're more than happy to work with you. We know this is going to be an adjustment, not having lockers, but just like everything else, we're going to find a solution for every incident that happens.
One quick note,
questions.
I'm just going to interrupt for one quick second. So I know that I'm sure that there are some questions for some families. If you missed Ms. Javelin's notice earlier today, our fully remote students are going to be able to pick up their supplies on Wednesday from the Weber Circle. There are half-hour increments by house. So if you missed that email today, contact your assistant principal and they'll be able to give you the information for the time for you to come and pick up those materials. But that will include all of those very heavy textbooks as well as the Chromebooks. So if you haven't received those supplies yet, if you are a fully virtual student, distribution for that will be on Wednesday.
Kathy, are you going to read us questions or you want us to read through the chat and answer them?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of questions about, there's a lot of questions about the gym and wondering like what is happening. I know you just answered a lot of that about the heat, but I guess are the kids going to be in the gym the entire time for the rest of the year? That's the plan, right? One classroom, one pod.
Right, so we're, like I said, we're going to evaluate throughout this. What I will tell you is from a teacher standpoint, what happened on Tuesday is very different than happened today on Monday, right? So as we're learning the spaces also and getting comfortable in the spaces as educators, we have to decide, is it the best time to move a pod and reacquaint teachers into spaces or not? But we will be evaluating that throughout the year and figuring out whether or not we're keeping pods in the locations that they are in or not.
Awesome.
I just wanted to ask if somebody needs to contact their teacher, whether it's some kind of IT problem or a heavy backpack or a question about their seating arrangement. Some people have said they've tried through Google Classroom, they haven't gotten an answer. What do you think is the best way to contact a teacher to get a response?
It should definitely just email the teacher. Each teacher probably shared a different way of how they might want to communicate, but the whole school in general is a email user-friendly school, and they should respond to an email. If you feel you're not getting a response by a teacher, by all means, reach out to the assistant principal, and we will make sure we get an answer for you. What's happening though, I just want to say when you're, let's say for an IT problem, so if you email the teacher, you email the assistant principal, and you email me, that means we're putting 3 tickets into the system for help on your whatever you're having. They will reset your password 3 times. So once it starts working, because the teacher put their request in, then the AP puts a request in, they're resetting your password, and then I put your request in, they're resetting your password again. So it's important that you give us a little time to make sure we get the things fixed for you. But my concern is that you're emailing everybody and everyone's trying to help you. So there's a little bit overlap happening. So give us some time, like before, you reach out to the next person. This way we want to make sure that we can help you.
Another question is homework, because I guess kids are stressed out. So is there a possibility of homework?
So again, what I would say to you, and I've said this from the beginning, whether we're remote, not remote, all of that, if you have a problem with homework and you feel that your child is getting too much or too little, because we get both extremes, please reach out to either the teachers first, because the teachers know what they could modify for you, or reach out to the assistant principal and we will help you through that process.
Thank you. And then I think the big question now is the masks outside. Are children really supposed to wear masks even though they're outside far apart?
Yes, they are. We are wearing masks the whole time. Our goal is to be in school this entire year. We've been in school less than 5 days and 2 schools are shut down right now. So our goal is to keep everyone safe and be in school and be healthy. And the most important piece that we've read and know from documents is that 6 feet apart, masks on is what will keep us safe. So right now, that is the policy that we are holding true for Weber, because I really want us to be in school every single day that we can be.
And on the note of masks, some people have said that teachers aren't necessarily all wearing masks, and specifically maybe if they're outside. So can you just kind of discuss how this is being enforced?
Sure, all staff, all students need to be wearing masks. If I've gotten a phone call of someone not wearing a mask, I've certainly walked over to them and had a conversation with them, but every adult needs to be wearing a mask, as well as every student. We will be taking mask breaks along with the students. So that's important for students to know that teachers will need mask breaks as well. But every adult in the building is required to wear masks, as well as students.
And then the last mask question, I think, is that in addition to those mask breaks, and the kids are really, I think, liking them, can the younger kids get a chance to move their bodies a little bit more as well as a mask break?
So we've started talking about that today. That's something that we didn't really think about prior to the end of last week, but we did just start discussing that we need to get students up a little bit more to move. I know some of our classes went outside today for some of their learning, so we're slowly finding our spaces and what we can do. Again, it's us getting used to being in different ways, different teaching and dealing with our students differently. And like I said, if you have a problem, let the teacher know, let us know. We're definitely open to trying to make this the best situation for everybody.
And then on the note about laptops and screen time, I think one parent is wondering if there's less screen time possible in school because they're concerned about how much time the kids are spending on their laptops.
So the problem is we're running two programs at once. So we have students that are at home and we have students that are in school, and we're expected to teach both. So that increased the screen time because we need to make sure that what we're presenting at home, we're also presenting in school. So when we originally made the plan, that screen time was 100% part of our plan, but we need to make sure that we are incorporating the students that are home as well.
There have been a few questions. In between classes, the teachers are rotating. So basically for 3, 4, 5 minutes, the students are in the classes by themselves. And I know there's been talk that they're taking off their masks, they're walking around, they're using their phones. Is there a way to monitor this? Is it kind of, up to them to kind of police themselves?
It's interesting you say that because we've been in the hallways during hallway changing time. And I have to say, the kids that I've seen have been sitting in their seat and refused to move. It's interesting. I haven't really noticed that, but we do have adults in the hallway during changing time. The doors are open. Kids are reminded that they need to keep their masks on. If we see someone doing, like normal, if someone's doing something inappropriate in a school setting, we're going to address it. It's no different than what we do normally. So, in some ways we do expect the kids to follow suit. That goes on buses as well, because we don't have monitors on buses. So we do expect that kids are wearing their masks, and we do expect that parents at home are discussing that with their child. And if you as a parent don't believe that a mask is important, the person next to you does. And I think it's really important that we have to respect each other and what each other are feeling. So some of you, may be having sleepovers where other people haven't left their house since March, and people need to know that and need to make sure that you're respectful of everybody else that's around you during this time. And again, I'm going to say it, we want to be in school. We want to come back more. The only way any of that's going to happen is if we keep ourselves safe, we keep ourselves healthy, because then there's no other conversations that we could have if we have to shut school down again.
And I guess kind of on that note, how is dismissal working? Is it by class? Because some people say they breeze right through the hallway. Some say it seems overcrowded. How is that working?
Right. So we're dismissing by. So at the end of the day, everyone goes back to their pods if anyone is out for services or anything like that. And we are dismissing by pods. We have been assessing the hallways. This is day 4, I guess, of us being in. We're assessing the hallways each day to see if what we're doing is working. Just today, we talked about that we maybe need to do a slower release on dismissal, because when we do dismiss all the walkers, it seems to be more students than not. On 8th grade days, it's more than there is on 7th grade days. So we're trying to assess the situation. But as far as walkers are dismissed first, and then buses are dismissed second.
And the buses, just to add, are dismissed as they pull in. It's staggered. So as a bus pulls in, we call for the bus. So just the students from that bus are dismissed.
Okay, so I also see a question about music. We are in the process of working with Mr. Scully on how to do our music program and give our students opportunities to play band and orchestra and chorus. And we're in the working stages of that. So every student will have the music that they're currently having. And then on the virtual days, our music program is going to look a little different, where they will be doing their instruments. We haven't rolled that out yet.
And on that music topic, the one parent asks, is it the children can go to the gym or music during one period? Do they have periods that overlap?
Right, so that's on Wednesdays, and that's one of the things that we're working through right now. So as soon as we have a little bit more, so right now for this Wednesday coming up, yes, choose which you want to go to. And then by a week from Wednesday, you're going to have an updated schedule, I hope.
Okay, great. And there's a lot of questions about Wednesdays, so maybe just a general recap, because a couple of parents just joined. Just, you know, Wednesdays are being evaluated.
Sure.
Should I try again this time? Audio works? All right. So when we planned Wednesdays, we really planned to provide an opportunity for increased student and teacher interaction. I'm comfortable in saying we're the only middle school in Long Island that I know of that's offering 5 days of instruction, even if this Wednesday is a fully remote day for everybody. So here's our rationale behind that. What we experienced in the spring with that piece, what was not happening, were those little moments where a teacher supports a student, where a teacher provides a little bit of extra help, where a teacher pulls a child into the hallway to find out what's going on, how can I help you? With the way that our hybrid schedule is rolled out, we're not allowed to offer necessarily extra help right now. So this is another way to build that into our schedule. The Wednesday also, the schedule allows for our mental health staff to meet with students. I think we're seeing, and we're going to continue to see, increased rates of anxiety, stress over this very different environment. Let's not forget, we are in the middle of a pandemic, and we're working with 12, 13-year-olds, 11-year-olds. Ooh, this is a very different world. So we need this time to make sure our mental health staff is able to work with our students. So that's a huge part of Wednesday. Now, from a teaching standpoint, it's going to look different, and it's supposed to look different, just to be clear. One teacher may need, that 30 minutes that they have for full instruction for 100 students, and that's great. That's a great use of the time. Another teacher may need to offer support services or a little bit of extra help or small group instruction to reinforce a concept, something that they can't do right now because of our schedule. And that's also a great use of the time. So I just want to highlight, I know that first Wednesday, and I said it before, I know it didn't go as smooth as we all wanted to, but let's not forget it was the second day of school. I'm really confident this Wednesday is going to go a little smoother, and I'm even more confident that next Wednesday will be even better. So, please give us time. Let us roll this out, because we really think it's going to be what's best for the children.
Right. So if students are meeting with small groups at a time, the other students will have work provided by the teacher. So it's not a day where students aren't having work to do. Teachers will be providing work that students should be working on. So it's not a free day. We're not looking at it as a day of loss of instruction. We are looking at it as a day for additional work that teachers will be providing for the students.
But it does look like, based on the schedule, Wednesdays essentially do end a little earlier than other days. Is that correct?
Right. So as of right now, if you don't get support services that you need, OT, PT, or speech or counseling, right now the day ends at 2:15. That possibly may change, may not, when we're looking at the new schedule. Again, we were looking at when the schedule was planned, we didn't want students on computers all day long. So we were giving them, increments of 30 minutes with a break, with lunch. This way students wouldn't be on the entire time. from staring at a screen.
Thank you. And a parent wants to know, when you evolve Wednesdays, how will that information get to the students?
You mean what the classes will be? That will be all delivered through the teachers. The
Gotcha.
teachers will be sharing that. I will be sending a schedule home to parents, but teachers will be explaining to the students where they get their codes and what they need to do.
Perfect. And then I guess there's a few more questions about the Schreiber and Daly kids. Are the siblings also supposed to quarantine for 14 days? Are these questions
So,
you know the answers to?
Sure. So I don't know who the students are. I do know that we do not have any siblings at Weber of those 2 students. So therefore, that is one of the reasons we are not closing. They are not closing by the Department of Health. They are closing strictly to clean the building and make sure that everything is just sanitized before everyone returns.
And then are the Google Health forms needed every night, like every morning before the kid comes to school?
Right. So they're still working. I think some parents are still having a hard time logging into the forms. So we've been taking temperatures of every single student prior to them walking into the building, just to make sure that no one has it's one minor part of it. But we have been taking temperatures of every student that has walked into our building since the day 1 of school.
And then I have a couple of remote questions from parents who are fully remote. And because I know there's been some technical difficulties, is there something being done to address the integration of the remote kids with the regular classroom kids, asking them questions, engaging them?
There is a virtual committee that is working on the virtual plan.
So what I can say to address that is that we know that at this moment, that's not happening, that the students that are home fully virtual are not able to, on the 2 days a week where they theoretically would have been in school, that they're not able to interact with their class in the same way as their classmates are because they're in school. We are working as a committee to try to bridge that gap. At the moment, we haven't come up with all of those answers yet. The technology for us is new, and we're kind of learning with it as we go. So the first issue that we're working on is the sound system. So making sure that everybody who's at home can hear the teacher when they're in the building. And we're working to resolve that with the mics and the amp. And then the next thing is, how do we have more integration and participation from the students that are home on those 2 days? And we're working on that at the committee level. We are meeting again. We meet every 2 weeks or so. We felt that it was important as a committee to give time while we're actually using the technology. It's hard to come up with solutions when you don't know what the problems are yet. So we are working collaboratively on that.
And as far as the bell schedule for the all remote students, it is a full period. There is no separate bell schedule. They're following the live schedule because they're following our classrooms and what's happening inside our classrooms. The remote schedule is for the days when everybody's remote. So the days that your students are in school, you're following the live schedule, the full 41, 42-minute schedule. And then the days when students are remote and you're with the class as the remote students, you're following the first 30 minutes of every class.
And then what does extended testing time look like? I know we've only been in school a week, but when that comes up?
We're actually working through that because that's been a big conversation. We're trying to work through that with our resource room teachers and see if there's ways that we could give students parts of tests one day, parts of tests another day. So we're trying to work through that and figure out how we can manage that with not putting students in different pods and mixing students up too much.
And I guess this is probably more, maybe more a conversation for the teachers, but, one person said, can teachers streamline or be more specific in the way they name their Google Classrooms? I guess, a lot of them name it 6A something. And I think especially sixth graders who have not been in the school for very long might be finding it a little confusing to figure out, where what classes their social studies class, what to click on. They start to pop up on your Google Classroom, and it's filled with all these classes, and they don't really know what it is. So I don't know if that's just a learning curve, or if there's a possibility of teachers, trying to be a little more direct in their naming.
So I think it's maybe a little bit of both. If you have a child at home who's struggling with remembering what the class is named with what that class actually is, maybe a strategy could be kind of creating a cheat sheet where if it says 6A and you can see the teacher's name when you're in that Google Classroom, then that would remind you as to what class that is. And that can be a little cheat sheet next to your Chromebook for the day. That being said, if it's something that you are really struggling with, I would reach out to the teacher and speak to them about maybe, 6A English. And that's always a conversation that can be had with the student and the teacher, and definitely with the child and the parent, of coming up with strategies at home to try to help them remember what those different classes are. Because definitely when you're home all day, you have that whole list of classes that you're participating in. It can definitely be a little bit overwhelming. So helping your child figure out the best strategy that's going to work for them is always the best plan.
So
A couple of backpack. Oh, sorry.
now I saw some questions about if someone tests positive, are you notified? So we will be following leads that the district will tell us to and share with us. And once we're told what we can tell parents, we will certainly share any information that we have with parents that we're allowed to tell. So my understanding, if there is someone that has COVID that you're with for more than 10 minutes in less space than 6 feet apart, you will be notified.
And extra help. There's a lot of questions really about extra help hours. When are they going to post the extra help hours, and how do students arrange that for with teachers?
That's part of what Wednesday is for. So if your child needs some extra help, please contact your teacher and they will let you know what time on Wednesdays will work for them.
And then backpacks, they're very heavy with Chromebooks, binders, art supplies. Is there anything that can be done? Can we reevaluate that at some point?
So if you're finding that your child's backpack is too heavy because you have multiple binders in there, please reach out to your teachers and share that with them. We make accommodations before COVID. We'll make accommodations during COVID and after COVID. But it's important that if you are finding as a parent that your backpack for your child is too heavy, we do not want anyone's back hurting after this, and the teachers will work with you. And it's really important that you work with the team and what you need and don't need.
Somebody had a question about, it's another Wednesday question. I don't know if this is a real issue. How will language teachers give instruction to everyone if they have multiple grades scheduled at the same time?
That is why we are reevaluating. That is exactly what the problem is. We noticed that the problem is that multiple grades are occurring at the same time, and that is why we are reevaluating the Wednesdays and how we're going to do it. We're looking at a different schedule, and that will be sent out to parents as soon as we make sure that it's a doable schedule.
This one should be pretty easy. Where should I drop my child off in the morning? I was waved into the teacher's lot and then discovered this was not the right place. So can you just go through where the proper places to drop off and where they can enter the buildings from?
So drop-off locations are the same as they always are. So drop-off would be on Bogart Avenue at Orchard, and then Vanderventer and at Main Street, and then have your child walk into the building from the entrance on the front fields through the tunnel. What am I missing?
Bogart, did you say Bogart?
Yes. And there are more entrances that are open by the front field than we typically have to accommodate and allow for more distancing of the students. But I have to say, I haven't found that any of the entrances are very crowded in the morning, and it seems that the students are pretty spaced out for morning drop-off.
There's something else I want. I don't. we need to be in this together. And comparing what we're doing in the middle school compared to what they're doing at the high school, compared to what they're doing at the elementary school is very different. So I really want to stress the fact that our students are getting live instruction. And I'm going to really say that again. They are getting live instruction every single day. There is not pre-recorded anything. Our students are meeting with our teachers daily and getting instruction daily. And that is why our plan works. And that is why our plan was developed the way it was. So I'm not going to knock the high school or knock the elementary schools or not knock them and say they're doing something better than us. Our plan was designed strictly because we felt it was very, very important that live instruction was happening for our students, and the connection to our teachers were extremely important. And that is how our plan was developed over the summer.
And I just want to make note that some of these I know. So there's obviously been a lot of questions about pick up and drop off and phone numbers and things like that. So we will post that. I know someone said, "Can you type the answer of where to drop off?" We can post that maybe on our website, or we can send that out from an HSA email and be very specific in terms of where you can drop off. So that everybody knows, especially for new parents. And if your child comes home and says, outside everybody was running around without masks on, or mixing with other pods, or not that anybody's looking to get anyone in trouble, but I assume you can contact. I don't know if the assistant principal is the best way to start with that, but what would be the best way to kind of, if you think something isn't being done appropriately safety wise, who should you contact?
I would definitely recommend contacting your assistant principal. If your child comes home and says that X, Y, and Z were happening in school today, this child wasn't wearing a mask and it made me feel uncomfortable, or I didn't feel uncomfortable, but this child wasn't wearing a mask, please reach out and let your assistant principal know. Those are things that we will be addressing immediately. Our policy is that all the students are wearing masks all day unless they are being directed to take a mask break by their teacher. So if your child comes home, please reach out to the assistant principal that night, send us an email. We will work to investigate it at our earliest convenience the next day, whenever those children are back in the building, and we will reach out to their families and let them know. So it's really important for us, as Ms. Javelin was mentioning earlier, we want to be in school. In order for us to be in school, we need to be following the safety measures and proper protocol. And the way to do that is wearing masks. So it's really important that we are wearing masks all day. And if your child is saying that someone isn't, please let us know.
Okay, and then I think this was answered at an earlier webinar, but just to clarify, so everyone's in a pod. If somebody leaves for language, is their seat staying empty, or is someone else coming in and taking their seat? Because there was some confusion over, does someone have to clean the seat? What happens with it?
So some seats are empty and it's just their child seat. If the seat is being shared by another student, they are being wiped down by an adult in between uses. So no students are sharing seats or equipment without it being wiped down.
I want to be really respectful of everyone's time. It's almost 8:30. We've been doing this now, but we do have a lot more questions. So if you'll bear with us, we'll just extend this a slight bit longer, because I do think there's a lot of things that are important to cover. And one of those things is the Google Classroom interface at home with the student and the teacher. I think there are a lot of parents on the questions who would like it to be streamlined, which I guess they're looking for it to be better named, or named in a way that is more understandable. If a parent has a question about Google Classroom and it's confusing, who should they go to?
Right. So one of the things that I'm taking away from this conversation is our sixth grades are having, more so than the other grades, are having a hard time finding figuring out the Google Classrooms. That's something that we will go back to and speak with our teachers about, helping them understand and find their Google Classroom. So at our team meetings, we have team meetings once a week with all of our teams. Each AP meets with the teachers, their guidance counselor is part of that, the psychologist is part of that, and we will discuss and bring that up there if there's a way that the teachers can streamline it and help the students better understand how to get into their classrooms, how to find their classrooms, etc. So if it continues to happen you could email the teachers directly. They're usually the first ones. They're the ones that are making up the Google Classrooms. You're emailing us, we're going back to the teachers and talking to the teachers about it anyway.
Yeah. And then about the Google, is there an option for live chat in every classroom? I know that's selective based on the teacher, but one of the parents wants to know, is it possible to allow a live chat for kids to ask questions? Sometimes it's disabled.
If you're finding that your classroom and your teacher's disabling their chat, please contact the teacher because they may not even know that that is happening. I find it very hard to believe that a teacher would not want to hear from kids during their lessons. So they might disable it for a time being, because sometimes what happens when you're talking and the chat just keeps going, kids are more focused on what's happening in the chat than the lesson. So they might disable it for a short time and then bring it back. But if you're finding that your classes and your teachers are not allowing the chat, then you should absolutely speak to the teacher about that.
And I saw a few questions about, whether there was any contact information available for the kids, I guess, in a certain pod, so that they can, have names and numbers in case they have questions for things. I do believe that when, if you go to your Google Classroom, I think you can see the names of the kids that are in that pod. And once our directory is up and running, again, we took it down for everyone to double check it. But once the Weber directory is up again, you can then go look up anybody's parent information and stuff. So, I don't know if that's something that the teachers would want to collect everyone's information and give that out, but certainly, somebody can contact a parent and kind of, get kids' information that way, or possibly do it through the chat on Google Classroom if they wanted to try and, collect some phone numbers. I think a lot of teachers do ask them to kind of find a buddy in the class to touch base with. I'm not sure, again, if the teachers were planning on handing out, information for everyone in the class the way they do sometimes in elementary school.
Right, so we normally don't do that from, that's usually run, I think, from the HSAs or a class parent in the elementary schools. We don't normally do that, but I certainly can inquire about that. It's not something that we normally do. So it's something that you and I, Alana and Kathy, we could talk about and maybe do something to help parents out with that.
I believe many of the children have each other's Instagram names, that could help.
Yeah. The directory's back up tomorrow.
And I guess, there have been a few questions about this. I don't know where it stands with the 6th grade PEP. Has anything more been discussed about possibly doing it as an after-school program or some other option?
I have shared options with Dr. Mioli, and I am waiting to hear back from Central.
And then we have a lot of these rotating class.
I'm sorry, but as always, if you feel that your child is not being challenged in class, whether you're in PEP, whether you're not in PEP, or whether the class is too hard, please reach out to the teacher. And, another one that I always go for, middle school is the age where we ask and we try to get the students to be advocates for themselves. It's really, really important that if your child feels that they're not being treated fairly, or they're not being challenged enough, or or it's too hard for them, or they need some, additional assistance, that they reach out to their teachers and they say to their teachers, I'm struggling with this, can you help me? It is so important that we start teaching our children these skills. It's skills that they're going to need when they go on into college and things like that, that I really, if your child comes home and says, so-and-so happened in class today and I don't understand it, tell your child to email the teacher. Tell your child to get involved with their own learning. It will go much further with them and they will be stronger students for it.
Yeah, that's great advice. And then just to start wrapping things up, I know there was a lot of questions about kids being rotated because some kids are sitting in the back of the classroom, and that's they were looking to maybe have them moved a little bit further in the front so they can be more engaged. Is there a rotation of seats planned?
That's something that if you're, again, individual, some students learn best from the back of the room, some learn best from the middle, some learn best from the right, so if your child is having a difficult time where they are, please reach out to the teacher and explain that to them.
Amazing. So it's 8:33. I feel like we can take maybe 10 more minutes and just wrap this up at 8:45. And any really pressing questions that we haven't gotten to?
No, I think everyone's,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I just wanted to reiterate that everyone should contact, I do see a lot of questions, maybe specific to someone's child who's had an issue or a specific teacher, or absences and stuff. So, definitely feel free, sorry to all the assistant principals, but please feel free to reach out to them. It's what they're here for. So, don't
Right,
feel
we could talk a little bit about subs if we just want to just go there. Ms. Zuckerman, if you want to just talk about the plans for subs. We've had teachers that have been absent, but Ms. Zuckerman will share the plans for that piece of it.
So obviously we have some staff members that have been absent. We have 3 permanent subs in the building. So when a teacher is absent, we fill those spots with our permanent subs. We also have another wonderful person who is like a staff member who comes in and works as a sub when we need her to. At the moment, we have a couple of staff members whose positions we're working to complete hiring for those positions, and we just had that wrap up, I believe, today.
One more.
We have one more spot, but that spot is being filled by the same sub every single day. So there's consistency for the students, and that department chairperson is working collaboratively with that substitute teacher to keep the instruction on point. When a teacher is absent, they will be posting lessons and material for their children, for the students to complete on their Google Classroom. So if the children are in person, or if they are remote, or if they are fully virtual, they will all be completing the same instruction for that day. We came up with a plan together with the teachers so that everybody would be getting the same instructional material for the day. If the students are in person, those classes will be covered with a teacher in the building. And if those classes are remote, we are not having a person cover those classes virtually, but they will be instructed to complete that work during that class period. So we will not be having classes canceled. That is not something that we anticipate happening. Obviously, I can't speak to the future, but as of right now, that is not something that we anticipate happening right now. For in-person classes, we will be covering those live like we normally would do. If a teacher was absent, we would have a substitute in the room for the day. If children are home and it is a virtual day for them, we will not have a live body standing in front of them for their class time, but there will be assigned work for them to complete during their entire class period. So our expectation is that those students are working for their entire period, and the teacher will follow up with them through the Google Classroom and the next time the teacher has those students.
Just a couple of COVID questions. Yeah, sorry, just a couple of COVID questions. If a child or staff member is tested positive to COVID, does the entire pod quarantine for 2 weeks, or how is that handled?
So the district will reach out to the Department of Health, and we will be getting guidance from the Department of Health. So depending on how long the teacher was in there, if really the Department of Health will be telling us what we need to do from a school setting.
And are desk shields gonna be installed at Weber?
Not ordered any desk shields for Weber, as we are 6 feet apart. So the reason desk shields were bought for the elementary schools is because they are not 6 feet apart. But as of right now, we are 6 feet apart in all of our classrooms.
And then orchestra, I guess, is there a plan for orchestra?
Yeah, I spoke about that. So that music, we're rolling out that. We're working with Mr. Scully right now and rolling out how we're going to be delivering those. It's going to be all virtual. That's orchestra, bands, all of that. So the in order to be safe to perform in those musics, you need to be 12 feet apart. So instead of doing it live, we chose to do it virtually in the middle school.
So last question is picture posting. FaceTime is important for kids and teachers. Can you have teachers enforce that kids show their faces on Zoom and Google Meet? This parent says their kid turns off the camera.
No problem. So if you have read my expectations that was sent home, it is clearly written in the expectations that all videos need to be on. And if you have a specific problem, you need to speak with the teacher. But other than that, everyone's video needs to be on during their sessions. For multiple reasons. It's not just, it's so we make sure that the students are paying attention. It's no different than a classroom. We see you in a classroom. We're seeing our Google Meets / Zooms as classrooms. And it's really not fun as a teacher to talk to a blank screen. You almost look, it's very difficult. Even with this, like there's 204 members that are participants on this, and I'm talking to 5 of them that I could see. So it's awkward when you know that there's a whole nother, universe out there that's listening to hear. So it's very, very important that students have their cameras on and that you're communicating with the teachers because this is your classroom.
Thank you. We really covered material. We're in this together. And unless there's any, that's a phase. So if there's anything left that you want to express.
Try again. Wait.
Well, Beth, did you want to address anything else before we start to close out the hour and 15 minutes?
No, I just, I think we're off to a really good start. I know that the teachers are starting to really get comfortable in their classrooms and get comfortable with the movement that they are moving around. Each day gets better for us inside. It's certainly great to have the children back in the building and seeing the children. Again, I'm going to say, please, please, please talk to your children about wearing masks. Please, talk to them about washing their hands. Please talk to them about not putting their fingers in their eyes. And really, the more that we could stay healthy, then the better we will be as a school and maybe hopefully could get more students in. But we have to all be healthy in order to do that. So please, please, please talk to them about the importance of, following the protocols inside school, outside of school, walking through town, playing with their friends on the weekends, whether or not you have barbecues at your house or not. It's really, really important that we follow these protocols so we could stay healthy and be in school and not shut down again like we did last year.
Well, thank you. Thank you for an amazing first week. We had a lot of really great feedback, and I feel like we'll be doing this again. I'm sure we'll be having another meeting very soon. So parents, check your emails. We'll be sending you lots more information as we kind of evolve and the situation, flows, which is just thank you for, we're in such good hands. So thank you, Principal Javelin and Ms. Zuckerman and Mr. Mace, and also Mr. Cercioni. Really, so grateful for all the work that you've put into this and the effort for our kids to have a good year.
Yes, thank you. And, again, we're always available to parents if you want to email us, if you can't get through to someone, we can help you try and navigate that the best we can. So we appreciate everyone's hard work and patience with everything.
It's a real team. So that's really what I believe. We're in this together. Our outcome is your children. We both want success for your children. So we're really sitting on the same side. We shouldn't be on, opposite sides of the playing field. Education's important, that we're delivering to your children and for your children.
All right.
Yeah.
And,
so thank you, everybody.
And tomorrow is a B-Day.
Tomorrow is B-Day, and Weber Middle School is in school. So, students that are, so tomorrow is 7th grade and blue and green 6th grade. And we expect to see you in school, and we expect to see those virtually, and have another excellent school day tomorrow.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Have a really great night. Great week.